Hello and welcome to ShowMeAcademy.com. In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to automatically delete the temporary internet files that are in Microsoft Internet Explorer 7. First of all, just as a quick means of explanation, let me tell you that every time you go to a website on the internet, whether it's Google, whether it's Yahoo, or any other page for that matter, all the files that are necessary to build that page in your browser are downloaded to your memory, to your hard drive. That means image files, it could mean cookies, it could mean any other type of data that's necessary to show that file that's stored somewhere on your system. And this happens so that if you go back to the page in a relatively short period of time, you don't have to constantly re-download the same information over and over again. Instead, it can pull information out of the cache and more quickly pull the information and render the information for you in the browser. However, you may not always want it to keep that much information as to the files that you've been viewing and where you've been. So there are ways to manage that, and there's also a way to set it so that every time you close your browser, it will delete the files that are in your temporary Internet Files folder. First of all, let me show you where you go for general management. We're going to click on the Tools menu and go to Internet Options. And from here on the General tab, you'll see that we have Browsing History. And under the Browsing History, there's a button there for Settings. So if you click on that, you'll see that the first section on this window speaks specifically to temporary internet files. Now, first of all, you can change the behavior as to how it grabs temporary internet files. You can see you can tell it to grab them every time I visit the web page, which basically means don't cache anything, keep looking for the newest thing that you can find out there. You can tell it to only grab it when you start Internet Explorer. Automatic means that it tries to figure out for you when it should grab new files. And never basically means it's always going to go off of the files that are in memory if those files exist. I definitely wouldn't recommend using that setting because that means if there's a newer version of that site out there, you'll never see it because you'll always pull up the version that's sitting for you in memory. But more important, I think, is this feature right here, which says how much disk space you should allocate to the storage of these temporary internet files. Now you can, of course, ratchet this way down or ratchet it up depending on how much stuff you want to be cluttered around in memory on your hard drive. So those are the places where you would manage most of the items that have to do with your temporary internet files. You can see you have some other options as well for Move Folder, View Objects, and View Files. But I want to show you here today how to make sure that every time you close your browser, all those files are deleted no matter what settings you put here. So I'm going to click OK. And just for the purposes of illustration, let's get out of here first and start this process from scratch. I'm going to click on Tools. I'm going to go to Internet Options. And then from here now, we're going to go to the Advanced tab up here. And at the Advanced tab, you'll see there's a whole host of checkboxes, and these deal with all different aspects of your browser. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to scroll all the way down until we hit the Security section. And in the Security section, you'll see there's this option here. It says Empty Temporary Internet Files folder when browser is closed. And by default, that's unchecked when you get your browser. But I'm going to check that now. And I'm just going to click OK. And that's really all that's necessary. Now what will happen is that no matter what I've set for the amount of data that should sit in my temporary internet files folder, once I close the browser, it will empty that data out. It helps to keep my hard drive cleaner, smaller, and it helps to make sure that there's not a lot of old audit data sitting around in my files. This concludes this tutorial, and thank you for using ShowMeAcademy.com.